Let's see, it's Sunday, April, I think, 13th. Today is a beautiful day out here, high of around 57, 60, something like that. We'll see, it's just a gorgeous day. The sun is shining, not a, not a cloud in the sky, really. I already got some, I don't want to say scouting activity, but every day I go out and check my swarm traps. So this year, I'm going to try to catch a feral swarm of bees, meaning a swarm of a local population that didn't come from my hive. That's my goal. The other side of that is that both of these hives overwintered strong, and it's entirely likely that they also might swarm. And if they do, I have a pretty good chance of catching them if I have a swarm trap. So, in front of my land, I've got a swarm trap. I intend, once I get a swarm, to start doing some videos from out there too. But on the front of my land, I've got a Layens hive. If you ever go to horizontalhive.com, I think I said it last week, Dr. Leo is the guy. I think you'll find it pretty interesting. I found it very cool to watch and listen and learn. The mark of any good beekeeper. My smoker is dead already. If anyone's wondering, I usually use pine needle, and then I use a little bit of like barbecue pellets, wood pellets, and they tend to create a really nice even smoke. And usually it even stays lit. So today's inspections ought to be fairly fast, all things considered. Last week we found marked queens, both of them, awesome. Last week we also did a mite wash and we came up with 0, which is exactly how we want to start the week. I came out this week and just took a look at if they were in the upper box, and of course they were already. Not a ton, but they were definitely in the upper box. I'm going to just take a quick glance at this box here. I work a little bit differently than most. A lot of beekeepers work from the bottom to the top. I work from the top to the bottom right now. I don't know, just something different to do. All right, so we just put this box on last week, and the only goal was to give them something to work out of. And I did put some honey in here for them. That was a reserve from last year. I'm just going to take a quick peek. Not a lot of activity up here, but they definitely, let's just say they're upper box curious, if you will. Hi, Mama. I put out a fun little campaign this week at work, on LinkedIn actually, to name my front hives, and I've been really impressed with some of the names that have come up. My only caveat was you had to use a musical theme, and it had to be bee related. I said you can name the hive and the queen, but both names have to be music and bee related. And we've had some pretty good ones. B. Linda Carlisle, I thought that was really funny. Billy Hivelish, I thought was another really creative one. That was actually from my CEO. And then, yeah, I've had a bunch of really good ones. There was one gentleman who just, I don't know if he used AI or if he's just really great at puns, but man, he came with the heat. He had like 5 or 6. Oh my goodness. Ryan, okay, one thing you need to do when you're working bees, before you close them up, make sure that all your frames are connected. I did not, and that is a good way to have bees mess up honeycomb, because when they have too much space, they mess up the comb. So frame one, second box, still mostly capped honey, one little bee on it. That's about it. Put my frame hanger on here. Today should be a really quick inspection. I don't have any real tasks. I'm just checking their progress. I did move a bunch of brood down. So your brood should be in your lower chamber for the most part. And I have a queen who loves to lay up here. We're still good. This frame is mostly empty. A little bit of honey here and there, but mostly empty. And last week on the other hive, I did see some swarm cells. Not swarm. I'm sorry, like emergency cells. And those emergency cells indicate that the other hive over there is at least preparing for the eventual probability or possibility of a swarm. So what's cool about this one is this frame here specifically, you can see kind of on the bottom on the right hand side, it got burned from when I did an oxalic acid treatment, and there was a lot of missing comb, and they're already starting to rebuild that up. So they're starting to build up this upper frame, bringing in some wax and such. Okay. Oh, we already got some cross comb down there. Holy cow, this thing is just loaded with pollen. I mean, this front half of this frame right here, I doubt you can see down inside of it. Let me pull it around out here. I try not to go in front of my hive, but look at, I don't know if you can see down inside of there, but all that orange and stuff, that's all pollen that they've been bringing in. That's all them. So I wouldn't expect to see any brood, but this is a resource frame. And I believe what they'll do is they will keep this frame. Oh, we might have some eggs. Oh, we do. We got some eggs in here, so there's gonna be some brood up here. So the bees will bring pollen and nectar in, and during the day they'll just kind of dump it, and then oh wow, this one's laid out too. I got drone brood in here. So drone brood means they're starting to make some boys. Again, if you follow beekeeping, drone behavior usually indicates mating is nearby, which is good. This has a lot of eggs, larvae. Oh wow, it's all the way laid out actually. This one is going to be, oh yeah, both sides. Yep. Eggs, larvae, nothing really capped as of yet, but definitely eggs and larvae. Cool. Man, she has just gone bananas in this upper box up here. This hive is getting ready to explode, which is, again, I know in the beekeeping community, there are a lot of people who have theories about natural beekeeping and keeping a hive naturally, if you will, like organic. And that's what I'm going to attempt to do out front. It may come back to bite me in the butt, but for now, look at this one, is all the way laid out, end to end. You see all the cappings over here and on both sides, and then in the middle, we've already got little baby bees already coming. So this hive is already starting to grow. Oh wow, this backside, Jesus. I mean, this is capped end to end. So that's 2 frames 2.5 frames with brood already upstairs. And last week I did finally get to mark my queen. Boy, she crushed this one too. Wow. I marked them, I kept saying red, but it's kind of more of a pink. But that should make them very easy to find. And the whole reason for putting the top box on here last week is just that these hives actually overwintered so strong. They have so much in terms of resources and things of that nature. They really didn't consume a lot of honey at all. Well, they're already bringing in nectar. Lots of it. Wow. All right. Well, that's awesome. The reason I added the box is because the population is so strong. I really didn't want to run the risk of them swarming. I like this hive a lot, and I just don't want them to swarm. I'd love for them. I'd love to get a season where this hive and the other hive over there don't swarm. They might, and if they do, I'm going to let them. But I really hope they don't. And the reason I hope they don't is because I'm giving them just a ton of space to work with. I'm giving them a lot of, hey ladies. They're not getting antsy, they're just all coming up, and I don't want to smash a bunch of them. But yeah, the goal was to add that third box up here just to keep them knowing that they have space, because what usually causes a hive to swarm, by all accounts, is they feel like they've got enough bees, enough comb, and enough resources to keep this hive alive, so half of them will fly off with the queen and they'll make a new queen, and half the hive will fly off, and that's reproduction. That's the purpose of swarming for beehives, if you didn't know. It's not scary or anything like that. And in fact, last night, it's funny because David Blaine is a wonderful magician. If you don't know him, go check him out. He's got a great special right now on Hulu called Do Not Attempt, I think is what it's called. Anyway, Do Not Attempt, in one of the episodes, he shows a beekeeper, I want to say it was like in Africa or something like that. I forget where it was at, but anyway, it might have been India or Africa. But anyway, he had a beekeeper that strapped a queen around his neck, and then they shook loose all the bees, and the bees all swarm and form a bee beard. You've seen it, I'm sure. There's a million images of people wearing these bee beards, and all that is the bees being attracted to the queen's pheromone like they would in a swarm. So what happens is, in a swarm, they go scout a location, all the bees leave, they follow the scent, and wherever the queen lands, that's where they land and rest, right? Or wherever they pick, wherever the queen is, that's where they go. Well, the same concept goes even if they're not swarming. Wow, they ate this thing up. Even if they're not swarming, if you put a queen around a neck, and if you put the queen around your neck and then shake all these bees loose and get them in the air, they will naturally coalesce where the queen is. Unfortunately, the difference is when bees are swarming, they gorge themselves with honey. Like they fill up with all this honey and nectar because they got to fly off, and they got to have enough resources to be able to make a temporary bivouac and a home once they get to where they're going to go. And so when bees swarm, they're very, like a natural swarm, bees are very docile. They're full of honey, they don't have anything to protect, they're not going to hurt you. Second frame in here is mostly pollen, and I'll tell you, these guys have been bringing in pollen literally like it's their job. The back side of this is empty, front side of it is, banging. Anyway, so back to that topic. When bees swarm, they fill themselves with honey. So if you ever see a swarm of bees on a tree limb or a fence or something like that, literally you can almost go up and pet it. It's a very docile position for the bees to be in, because they don't have a home, they don't have any honey to defend or anything like that. So they're pretty docile. And they showed this episode where he did this, but it wasn't swarming bees. It was just bees that they knocked loose. And when they knocked them loose, of course, they got pissy. And so he got stung 10 or 12 times. And I really felt like it was a poor representation for the bees, because generally speaking, that's going to strike fear. This thing is all laid out. It's got a lot of drone brood. And I just want to make sure we're not building any queen cells, because wow, it's a lot of drones coming out. I don't know if you can see down on the bottom, but those cells that stick up on this end and here, that's boys. Anyway, the only thing I didn't like about it was it made it look like the bees can be really aggressive in a swarm, and that's absolutely not true. In fact, if you ever see a swarm of bees, just call your local beekeeper. That's free bees. And if they're looking for bees, you've got them. So good looking frame of brood. They haven't drawn the comb all the way out to the edges on this side, but on this side it's mostly, and this is all eggs, larvae, brood, cap brood. Definitely a hive that is going to have a lot of bees in it very soon, which is killer for me, because I'll be honest, we've had an amazing spring. I'm really excited to see how this video progresses through spring, because I've laid clover and wildflowers all back here, and I'm just anxious to see what comes out of it, what I can grow. And I'm doing it all just for these little ladies right here to have lots and lots and lots to feed on. All right. Just kind of trying to keep an eye out for my queen, but I'm not trying to be in here all day. We got eggs, larvae, cap brood. I could literally just close it up right now, but I love seeing them, and I figure if I'm in here, I'm going to take a look. And the other thing I am looking for is some queen cells, and seeing what they're actually starting to bring in. Yeah. Oddly enough, with a bright pink mark on her back, I haven't seen my queen. And I'm sure I will if she emerges here. Sometimes they pile on top of her, and you don't always see her, but I'll bet I'm going to see her in these next two frames. Here we go. Come on, ladies, sit down. Hi. You see those ones pop up at me right away? Those are the guard bees. So if you don't know, every bee in a hive has a role. We got a lot of drone brood on the bottom here. In a while, here, once they get going full time, I will be able to do what's called plucking some of this drone brood. You take an uncapping tool and you just pull some of the drone brood out, and then you get an idea for how much varroa they have. But I want to let them build up first before I start doing that. But really, right now, the boys are not of consequence in this hive. In fact, they're kind of freeloaders. Whew. So in this hive, I mean, upper and lower box are very laid out. And what I mean by that is they just have a lot of eggs, a lot of bee baby activity, which means a lot of bees are coming. This frame has some brood in it, has some day-old eggs. Boy, Well, you'd really think that pink paint would just stand out. I don't know that I haven't seen her yet. And I shouldn't see her on these last two frames, so I missed her somewhere. Oh well. I know she's in here, and I know she's crushing it, so I'm not gonna jack with them too much. She could be anywhere, but I don't see any queen rearing activity. I don't see anything that says I should be concerned about this hive swarming. So I'm going to button her back up. I'm going to put her back together. Look out. Look out. Sometimes when you're pushing frames together, it's best just to give them a second. They'll move. And then another trick is to move. Oops, sorry, Mama. Here I'm talking about it. I'm not really doing it. The other thing is to move all the frames all at once. So you move all four of these frames together all at once, and then you're not having to separate them and such. So that is this hive. It looks really, really good. I'm gonna say right now, I've got about eight frames of brood. Easily. In a 16 frame hive, half of them are brood. I've got plenty of resources in terms of pollen, nectar, honey. So I'm gonna say this hive is absolutely doing a good job. So I'm gonna turn off the camera, close this one up, and then we'll start on the next hive.